What's cooking? Digital transformation of the agri-food system. Agriculture and Food Series. A strong food and agriculture system is fundamental to economic growth, poverty reduction, environmental sustainability, and human health. The Agriculture and Food Series is intended to prompt public discussion and inform policies that will deliver higher incomes, reduce hunger, improve sustainability, and generate better health and nutrition from the food we grow and eat. It expands on the former Agriculture and Rural Development Series by considering issues from farm to fork, in both rural and urban settings. Titles in this series undergo internal and external review under the management of the World Bank's Agriculture and Food Global Practice. Titles in this series: What's Cooking? Digital Transformation of the Agri-Food System, 2021. The Safe Food Imperative. Accelerating Progress in Low and Middle Income Countries, 2019. The Land Governance Assessment Framework. Identifying and Monitoring Good Practice in the Land Sector, 2011. Rising Global Interest in Farmland. Can it yield sustainable and equitable benefits? 2011. Gender and Governance in Rural Services. Insights from India, Ghana, and Ethiopia, 2010. Bioenergy Development. Issues and Impacts for Poverty and Natural Resource Management, 2009. Building Competitiveness in Africa's Agriculture. A Guide to Value Chain Concepts and Applications, 2009. Agribusiness and Innovation Systems in Africa, 2009. Agricultural Land Redistribution. Toward Greater Consensus, 2009. Organization and Performance of Cotton Sectors in Africa. Learning from Reform Experience, 2009. The Sunken Billions. The Economic Justification for Fisheries Reform, 2009. Gender in Agriculture Sourcebook, 2008. Sustainable Land Management Sourcebook, 2008. Forest Sourcebook. Practical Guidance for Sustaining Forests in Development Cooperation, 2008. Changing the Face of the Waters. The Promise and Challenge of Sustainable Aquaculture, 2007. Reforming Agricultural Trade for Developing Countries, Volume 2. Quantifying the Impact of Multilateral Trade Reform, 2006. Reforming Agricultural Trade for Developing Countries, Volume 1. Key Issues for a Pro-Development Outcome of the Doha Round, 2006. Enhancing Agricultural Innovation. How to Go Beyond the Strengthening of Research Systems, 2006. Sustainable Land Management. Challenges, Opportunities, and Trade-offs, 2006. Shaping the Future of Water for Agriculture. A Sourcebook for Investment in Agricultural Water Management, 2005. Agriculture Investment Sourcebook, 2005. Sustaining Forests. A Development Strategy, 2004. What's Cooking? Digital Transformation of the Agri-Food System. Katerina Schroeder, Julian Lampietti, and Ghada El-Abed. This work is a product of the staff of the World Bank with external contributions. The findings, interpretations, and conclusions expressed in this work do not necessarily reflect the views of the World Bank, its board of executive directors, or the governments they represent. The World Bank does not guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or currency of the data included in this work and does not assume responsibility for any errors, omissions, or discrepancies in the information, or liability with respect to the use of or failure to use the information, methods, processes, or conclusions set forth. The boundaries, colors, denominations, and other information shown on any map in this work do not imply any judgment on the part of the World Bank concerning the legal status of any territory or the endorsement or acceptance of such boundaries. Nothing herein shall constitute or be construed or considered to be a limitation upon or waiver of the privileges and immunities of the World Bank, all of which are specifically reserved. Contents. Foreword. 11. Acknowledgements. 13. About the authors. 15. Abbreviations. 17. Executive Summary. 1. A framework to guide the public policy response aimed at maximizing the efficiency, equity, and environmental sustainability of the digital transformation. 1. Digital technologies offer huge opportunities. 2. The risks of a digital divide remain significant. 5. Data governance and competition are major concerns. 5. Realizing the potential of digital technologies to transform the food system will require carefully crafted public policies and investments. 6. Plan of the report. 9. Part 1 Setting the Stage. 11. 1. The Agri-Food System's Digital Promise. 13. Key Messages and Introduction. 13. Unhealthy economy. 14. Unhealthy people. 15. Unhealthy planet. 15. How can digital technologies help achieve a healthy economy, healthy people, and a healthy planet? 17. Scope and structure of the report. 21. References. 22. 2. Pathways for digital technologies to change the agri-food system. 27. Key messages and introduction. 27. Pathways for improved efficiency. 30. Pathways for improved equity. 34. Pathways for improved environmental sustainability. 41. Public policy entry points for accelerating digital transformation of the agri-food system. 42. References. 48. Part 2 The Agri-Food System's Digital Transformation. 51. 3. Transforming Agri-Food Value Chains. 53. Key Messages. 53. On-Farm Digital Transformation. 54. Off-Farm Digital Transformation. 61. Challenges for Adoption of Digital Technologies. 76. Have digital technologies boosted equity and environmental sustainability in agricultural value chains? 78. Environmental sustainability. 81. References. 86. 4. Transforming rural finance markets. 99. Key messages. 99. Barriers to financial inclusion. 100. Pathways for improved efficiency, equity, and environmental sustainability. 105. References. 116. 5. Transforming agricultural policies. 121. Key messages. 121. Role of transaction costs in agricultural policies. 121. Digital opportunities for reducing transaction costs in agricultural policies. 125. Key barriers, risks, and implementation considerations. 134. References. 138. Part 3 Securing Gains from the Digital Transformation of the Agri-Food System. 141. 6. Data's Possibilities and Risks. 143. Key Messages. 143. Data's Promise for Digital Transformation of the Agri-Food System. 143. Data-related challenges to achieving the promise of digital technologies. 146. References. 152. 7. Policies to maximize the gains made through digital technologies. 157. Key messages. 157. Policy framework for fostering digital transformation of the agri-food system. 157. Policies for enabling digital transformation to maximize the efficiency gains. 159. Policies targeted at maximizing equity outcomes of digital transformation. 177. Policies targeted at maximizing environmental sustainability outcomes of digital transformation. 182. References. 185. Part 4 Appendixes. 189. Appendix A. The Digital Agriculture Profiling Tool. 191. Appendix B. The Agriculture Digitalization Index. 201. Appendix C Mobile Coverage in Rural Areas. 211. Appendix D Agriculture Digitalization Index Methodology. 217. Appendix E Maximizing the Finance for Development Approach to assess the public sector role in facilitating broader development and adoption of digital technologies. 223. Glossary. 225. Boxes. 1.1. The digital revolution is different from other technological revolutions because of the characteristics of digital information and digital goods. 19. 2.1. Impacts of digital agriculture on input industries. 37. 2.2. Impacts of digital transformation on agricultural jobs. 39. 2.3. Properties of digital information and digital goods have implications for their supply in rural areas. 43. 3.1. Case studies of tractor hire and drone hire in India, Nigeria, and China. 65. 3.2. Role of distributed ledger technologies and smart contracts for improved traceability along the agri-food value chains. 69. 3.3. Digital technologies for sustainable intensification in Uruguay. 72. 4.1. Data used to generate digital credit scores. 108. 4.2. Publicly available remote sensing data. 111. 4.3. Remote sensing to predict yield. 112. 5.1. Lessons from digitizing agriculture payments. From Colombia, Estonia, and Nigeria. 128. 5.2. Good practices for the establishment of farm registries for administration of agriculture support. Experiences from EU member states. 130. 6.1. Open data definition. 144. 7.1. Measuring good regulatory practices for access to digital technologies in rural areas. 161. Figures. S.1. Digital technologies allow information to flow more easily across the food system. 3. S.2. The structure of the report. 10. 1.1. Digital agriculture and past revolutions. 18. 2.1. Pathways for digital agriculture to improve efficiency, equity, and environmental sustainability. 29. 2.2. Stages of the agricultural production process and information needs. 31. 2.3. Transaction costs and risks in agricultural value chains. 33. B2.2.1. Automation potential across different sectors of the economy. 40. 2.4. Enablers of digital innovation ecosystems in the agri-food system. 46. 4.1. Rural credit. 104. 5.1. Policy-related transaction costs for the provision of budgetary payments. 124. 5.2. Digital technologies can reduce transaction costs along the policy cycle. 126. B5.2.1. Umbrella Farm Register in Austria. 132. 5.3. Digital technologies currently used in the policy cycle. 135. 7.1. Policy framework for fostering the efficient, equitable, and environmentally sustainable digital transformation of the agri-food system. 158. 7.2. The data infrastructure for agriculture. 164. A.1. Food system hubs. 194. A.2. Example of EEE and PPP framework application. 197. Maps. 2.1. Gender gaps in mobile internet use are wide in low and middle income countries. 2019. 36. 4.1. Commercial bank branches per 100,000 people worldwide. 101. A.1. Digital agriculture availability subindex. 193. C.1. South Asia. 211. C.2. Sub-Saharan Africa. 212. C.3. Europe and Central Asia. 213. C.4. Latin America and the Caribbean. 214. C.5. Middle East and North Africa. 215. C.6. East Asia and Pacific. 216. Photo. B3.3.1. Tagged cow in Uruguay. 73. Tables. 1.1. The global food system is large and complex, with many actors. 16. 3.1. Summary of the impact of digital technologies on farmgate prices. 74. 3.2. Factors in the adoption of digital technologies. 76. A.1. Efficiency indicator examples. 194. A.2. Equity indicator examples. 195. A.3. Environmental indicator examples. 195. B.1. Agriculture Digitalization Index. 202. D.1. Summary of Agricultural Digitalization Index. 218. E.1. Potential entry points for public sector actions. 223. Forward. As a source of jobs and economic opportunities for hundreds of millions of people and nourishment for all, the agriculture and food system is critical to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. But the agriculture and food system is not currently fit for this purpose. Poverty endures in rural areas. The way food is produced and consumed is associated with many health issues, including undernutrition, foodborne illnesses, and diet-related chronic diseases. The agri-food system also puts huge stress on the environment by driving large-scale land conversion, overtaxing natural resources, and generating up to 29% of global greenhouse gases. While the agri-food system is a driver of climate change, however, it is also part of the solution. A more sustainable agri-food system that helps restore landscapes and generates ecosystem services, including carbon sequestration, is possible. This will require a fundamental shift in how the agri-food system operates. Digital technologies can help accelerate that shift by bringing down transaction costs and addressing pervasive information asymmetries. The digital revolution, and the data it generates, are key to building an agriculture and food system that is efficient, environmentally sustainable, equitable, and able to link the world's 570 million farms with 8 billion consumers. Digital technologies promise to transform the agri-food system in unprecedented ways. Unlike past technological revolutions in agriculture, which began on farms, the digital agriculture revolution is being sparked at multiple points along the agri-food value chain. The change is driven by the ability to collect, use, and analyze machine-readable data about practically every aspect of the value chain, and by the emergence of digital platforms disrupting business models in the agri-food system. Ultimately, digital technology could help lower the costs of organizing agri-food chains, increase the amount of available usable information related to the agri-food system, and ensure equitable access to this information by all stakeholders. How can we ensure that digital technology delivers on its promise for agriculture and food? What's cooking? Digital transformation of the agri-food system investigates how digital technologies can accelerate the transformation of the agri-food system, including by increasing efficiency on the farm, improving farmers' access to output, input, and financial markets, improving quality control and traceability, and increasing efficiency in the design and delivery of agriculture policies. It also analyzes the role of digital agriculture in improving equity and environmental sustainability in food systems and highlights the risks that could emerge along the way, including risks associated with data governance, inadequate competition within and between digital platforms, and the potential deepening of the digital divide. With these in mind, it identifies public policy entry points to spur this digital transformation while minimizing the risks. More important, the report aims to ignite a discussion around these emerging trends in digital agriculture and lead to change. With change comes opportunity for positive transformation and the opportunity to steer the agri-food system in a direction that will deliver the triple benefits of healthy people, a healthy planet, and healthy economies. Mari E. Pangestu, Managing Director, Development Policy and Partnerships, The World Bank. Acknowledgements. This report was prepared by a team led by Katarina Schroeder, Agriculture Economist and Task Team Lead, Gada Elabed, Senior Agriculture Economist and Co-Task Team Lead, and Maria Claudia Pachin, Senior Digital Development Specialist and Co-Task Team Lead, under the overall guidance of Julian Lampietti, Practice Manager. The team comprised Anan Ahmed, Mekbib Haile, Eva Hassiner, Alexandra Horst, Marie Agnes Juangine, Armini Jürgen Lehm, Laura Ralston, and David Treguer. The team expresses its gratitude to Martien van Nieuwkoop, Global Director, Agriculture and Food Global Practice, and Boudewijn Germazi, Director, Digital Development, for providing strategic guidance and serving as invaluable sources of encouragement. A series of background papers used in the study were prepared by Derek Baker, Professor of Agribusiness and Value Chains, University of New England, Eleanor Benami, Assistant Professor of Agricultural and Applied Economics, Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University, Regina Berner, Professor and Chair of Social and Institutional Change in Agricultural Development, University of Hohenheim, Michael Carter, Distinguished Professor of Agricultural and Resource Economics, University of California, Davis, Thomas Dahm, Research Fellow, University of Hohenheim, Madhu Khanna, Agricultural and Consumer Economics Distinguished Professor, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, Don Larson, Independent Consultant, John Nash, Independent Consultant, Valeria Pess, Independent Consultant, Carl Prey, Distinguished Professor of Agricultural, Food and Resource Economics, Rutgers University, Caroline Pulver, Independent Consultant, and Ashley Rutsey, Innovation Manager, Food Agility Cooperative Research Center. Chapter 5 was prepared by Marie Agnes Juangine and Francesca Casalini of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, with inputs from Katarina Schroeder, World Bank. The team is also thankful to Emily Gray of OECD for assisting with the clearance process. Katie Freeman provided the box on the digital technologies for sustainable intensification in Uruguay. Marina Kayumova provided the box on measuring good regulatory practices for access to digital technologies in rural areas. Michael Norton conducted spatial analysis. The International Center for Tropical Agriculture and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations provided support in developing the digital agriculture profiling tool. Ina Ajazi, Elizabeth Ashe, Rebecca Chamberlain, John Dearborn, John Downs, Kyle Farrell, Aolin Gong, Sinan Haddock, Randolph Kent, Dong Ku Lee, James Lee, Joseph Massid, Yulia Matusova, Shiva Tabatabainajad, Olga Thomas, Fang Zhang, and Jenny Zhang provided invaluable research support. The team is grateful to Raba Arezki, Thomas Bauer, Regina Berner, Christopher Brett, Diego Arias Carballo, Peter Cook, Thomas Dom, Mary Ann Fay, Madhur Gautam, Georges Hongbonin, Alan Johnson, Mark Lixi, Oksana Nagayes, Carl Prey, Parmesh Shah, Adam Struve, William Sutton, and Hans Timmer for the thoughtful guidance and comments on the report. The team thanks World Bank communications experts Flor Martinet de Prenouf and Xenia Zia Morales for their continuous support, Funda Canley, Teguis Demissi, and Rosalie Trinidad for the administrative assistance, and Joe Brinley, Joe Caponio, Mike Crumplar, and Bruce Ross Larson at Communications Development for editorial support. The World Bank's formal publishing program coordinated the design, copy editing, typesetting, printing, and dissemination of the book. This publication was made possible by the generous support of the members of the Digital Development Partnership, the World Bank's program helping developing countries leverage innovation and technology to solve their most pressing challenges. For more information, please visit https://www.worldbank.org. N. Programs, Digital Development Partnership. About the authors. Ghada Elabed is a senior agriculture economist at the Global Engagement Unit in the Agriculture and Food Global Practice. Ghada works in both analytical and operational projects spanning the areas of climate-smart agriculture, agriculture policy, digital agriculture, and the agriculture and energy nexus. Before joining the World Bank Group, Ghada worked as a researcher at Mathematica Policy Research. Ghada earned a Ph.D. in Agricultural and Resource Economics from the University of California, Davis, an M.S. in Environmental Economics from École Polytechnique, France, and a B.S. in Agronomy from Agros Paris Tech, France. Julian Lampietti is the Global Engagement Manager in the Agriculture and Food Global Practice. His responsibilities include strategic planning, donor outreach, and oversight for global knowledge and advisory programs. Previously, he managed the Agriculture and Food Program in the Middle East, North Africa, Eastern Europe, and Central Asia. Julian was formerly based in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and he has published books and journal articles on a broad range of topics, including poverty, economics, agriculture, food security, logistics, and energy. He holds a Ph.D. in public policy from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and a master's degree in natural resources economics from Duke University. Katerina Schroeder is an agriculture economist in the Europe and Central Asia unit of the Agriculture and Food Global Practice. In her work she focuses on digital agriculture, agricultural and trade policy analysis, and food security. Before joining the World Bank Group, Katerina worked as a researcher at the Food and Agricultural Policy Institute and as a frequent consultant with the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations on issues related to food security, nutrition, and trade. She holds a Ph.D. in Agricultural and Applied Economics from the University of Missouri. Abbreviations. Executive Summary. A framework to guide the public policy response aimed at maximizing the efficiency, equity, and environmental sustainability of the digital transformation. The world's agri-food system has the potential to help reduce poverty, improve nutrition, and provide vast environmental benefits. But it is off course in achieving these aspirational goals. The global food supply is plentiful, yet undernourishment has been rising since 2014. Poverty rates are also on the rise, with most of the world's poor living in rural areas. Foodborne diseases continue taking a toll on human life and public budgets. And agriculture remains a major contributor to negative environmental outcomes. Why are the promises unmet, and why is the world off course? High transaction costs and information asymmetries have a lot to do with it. All of us, 7.7 billion and counting, are part of agricultural markets, and most of us make decisions every day about the food we consume. Agricultural goods are produced on 570 million farms, mostly small and run by families in developing countries. Food systems are local, but also global, linked through trade and sophisticated financial and insurance markets. These markets rely on transactions and information that influence the decisions farmers make about inputs, land, labor, capital, and outputs, and the choices consumers make about the attributes of the food they consume, including prices, production practices, and environmental impacts. The contrast between food surpluses on farms and food shortages in stores during the COVID-19 lockdowns highlights the high transaction costs and information asymmetries that plague the agriculture and food system. The goal of this report is twofold. First, it examines the pathways through which digital technologies can accelerate the transformation of the agri-food system. Second, it outlines the role public policy and investment can play in maximizing the positive and minimizing the negative impact of digital technologies on this transformation. The report investigates how digital technologies can improve the allocation of physical, natural, and human capital on the farm and reduce transaction costs off the farm, gaining efficiency. It also analyzes the role of digital agriculture in improving equity and environmental sustainability in food systems and highlights the risks that could emerge along the way. The role of governments in this process is to increase the space for private sector activity, improving the policy and regulatory environment and using public investments to crowd in private sector investment. In creating incentives to prompt private economic agents to maximize societal benefits, the public sector must also mitigate the potential, sometimes unknown, risks arising from digital agriculture. Digital technologies offer huge opportunities. Digital technologies and networks, rapidly developed and deployed, will transform the agri-food system by overcoming the long-standing transaction costs and information asymmetries. The digital agriculture revolution builds on earlier revolutions but is profoundly different. Rather than spreading sequentially from on-farm innovations, it is emanating simultaneously from multiple entry points along the food chain, figure S.1. Making this possible is the ability to collect, use, and analyze massive amounts of machine-readable data about practically every aspect of the value chain, and the emergence of digital platforms disrupting business models in the agri-food system. In 2014, 190,000 data points were produced per farm, per day, and experts predict that by 2050 each farm will produce around 4.1 million data points daily. Extrapolating across the agri-food system, the number of data points flowing across different stakeholders is countless. This massive set of decisions and transactions offers the possibility for small-scale, flexible organizational and production systems to flourish and nimbly navigate a changing operating environment, contributing to healthy people, a healthy economy, and a healthy planet. On the farm, emerging digital technologies will increase farmers' technical efficiency. Emerging, although limited, evidence shows that improved access to information has positive impacts on farmers' technology adoption, while studies on precision agriculture show a largely positive impact on farmers' profitability. For example, some technologies are significantly improving farmers' access to information about the range of productivity-increasing technologies and about how best to use them. Faster access to more information has a largely positive impact on farmers' profitability. Also increasing productivity are geo-enabled digital technologies that support farmers' decision-making through the acquisition and leveraging of granular data about their fields and animals in combination with timely, accurate, and location-specific weather and agronomic data. Off the farm, digital technologies will increase farmers' access to upstream and downstream markets by drastically lowering information-related transaction costs. That could allow them to tap into a larger, thicker set of markets through improved price discovery, buyer-seller matching, lower transport costs, and digitally enabled collective action to increase farmers' inclusion and bargaining power in agri-food value chains. Already farmers are seeing new incentives for quality improvement, changes in the way they allocate resources, and higher incomes and profits. Digital technologies, such as distributed ledger technology, will transform quality control and traceability. Decentralized tracing of food throughout the supply chain creates opportunities for safer, more sustainable food. Safer sourcing is important because some 600 million people fall ill after eating contaminated food each year, costing low- and middle-income countries $110 billion in lost productivity and medical expenses. Knowing where food comes from and how it was produced allows consumers to make more informed decisions about the impacts of the food they consume on their health and the planet's health. More sustainably sourced food also earns a price premium from environment and health-conscious consumers who can afford it. This price signal, when transmitted to various actors along the value chain, could encourage safe production practices. Digital technologies, such as mobile money and remote sensing for insurance, will remake rural finance markets. Mobile money reduces the cost of depositing and withdrawing savings in formal institutions and enables farmers in need to access friends and family's savings. Remote sensing data and advanced computing capacity improve yield estimates, reducing the design risk that plagued first-generation index insurance contracts. Remote sensing data also reduce the costs of monitoring traditional insurance contracts. Digital credit scoring, using non-traditional data to predict individual default risk and determine credit terms, promises to reduce the costs associated with processing loans and to deepen the penetration of credit markets. But more work is needed to improve the ability of digital credit scoring to predict default risks. Digital technologies will increase efficiency in the design and delivery of agricultural policies. Both the political economy and the policy-related transaction costs shape a country's portfolio of policy instruments, including those influencing the adoption of digital technologies, often leading to second-best policy instruments. Governments incur these costs gathering information, planning and designing policies, collecting revenue, and implementing and monitoring the policies. Digital technologies have the power to lower many of these costs and increase the gains for farmers and consumers. Properly directed, they may also help to deliver more efficient, equitable, and environmentally sustainable outcomes for the agri-food system. The environmental impacts of digital technology on the food system are expected to be mostly positive. They will stem from the direct, enabling, and behavioral effects of digital technologies, but the empirical evidence on these effects is still scarce. The direct effects arise from changes to production and distribution processes that have a direct impact on the use of natural resources and on greenhouse gas emissions. Yet precision technologies apply water, fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides only when and where they are needed, limiting the harm to soil and water resources caused by excessive or inadequate applications. Enabling effects are attributable to the enhanced scope for environmental monitoring of agricultural production systems. For example, blockchain-enabled traceability could reduce food losses in food systems by up to 30 million tons annually if it were to monitor information in half of the world's supply chains. Behavioral effects result from transforming the behavior and attitudes of food consumers and producers, increasing the environmental sustainability of the agri-food system. Digital technologies can generate data on how inputs harm the environment and communicate that data to promote systemic changes in the input industry's values and behavior. They can also disseminate information to producers and consumers about ways of improving environmental sustainability, particularly about reducing food waste, in downstream markets. The danger of digital technologies, despite their potential benefits, is that they may also encourage a rebound effect. Precision agriculture technologies could lead to less pollution per unit of input or output by increasing the efficiency of using such natural resources as water and land. But since they increase total resource use or increase yield per acre, their total effect on pollution is unclear. Precision farming may accelerate the depletion of natural resources in the rebound effect well known to energy economists, where efficiency gains led to increased machinery use, and thus to increased energy use in greenhouse gas emissions. In agricultural water management, the rebound effect is increasingly discussed in connection with the risk of rising water withdrawals and uses. Precision agriculture could also lead to higher marginal abatement costs. Because precision technologies make inputs more productive at the margin, the opportunity cost in foregone profits of not using them is higher as well. The impact of digital agriculture on biodiversity is also ambiguous. The risks of a digital divide remain significant. Digital technologies can do much to narrow the economic, spatial, and social divides in rural areas. They can narrow economic divides by changing economies of scale on farms and facilitating easier access to markets. They can narrow spatial divides and lessen the disadvantages of remoteness by lowering hurdles to information, markets, and services. And they can narrow social divides by creating opportunities to integrate disadvantaged groups into society, for example, by changing social interaction through digital means. But the same economic, spatial, and social divides risk widening a digital divide. Small, isolated communities are less likely to enjoy quality broadband coverage. Income and human capital determine the types of devices and services that farms and households can afford or will adopt. Farmers in developing countries and smallholders may lack the skills and knowledge to reap the benefits of digital applications. Consequently, the benefits might accrue disproportionately to farmers positioned to take advantage of such opportunities. In addition, digital technologies increase the demand for skilled labor while decreasing it for unskilled labor, so they can exacerbate and perpetuate labor market inequalities and further widen the gender gap in rural areas. Women and girls face barriers to digital inclusion that reflect their inequalities in access to education, careers, and other opportunities. Data governance and competition are major concerns. Data-related technical, social, and legal challenges must be addressed for the digital transformation of the food system. The challenges relate to data ownership, data protection, and data veracity and validation. Laws addressing the ownership of data from digital agriculture are frequently either missing or inadequate. Nor is portability, a prerequisite for data access, guaranteed by legislation. In practice, the definitions of ownership, access, and control rights are now left to contractual agreements, which are not perfect safeguards of farmers' rights over their data. Data protection is also a challenge, and current data sharing practices inadequately protect farmers' data. Since digital technologies collect new types and large amounts of geotagged farm data, it is difficult to separate personal data, protected by data privacy law, from non-personal data, not protected. An additional data protection challenge is the global nature of food chains and the heterogeneous data protection regimes across countries, and data-driven agri-food chains can be weakened by incorrect or intentionally manipulated data. There is growing concern that digital technologies will increase market power and concentrate the gains from trade in the hands of few. By quickly transferring high volumes of data, digital technologies could increase power and vertical consolidation in the entire food supply chain, with harmful effects. And agricultural data could make farmers' decisions more transparent than those of other value chain actors, since farmers using digital technologies tend to share disproportionately more of their data, which further reduces their bargaining power. The increasing returns to scale of data-driven digital platforms also lead to market concentration and create barriers to entry for smaller firms. Indeed, platform incumbents are increasingly able to invest in sophisticated algorithms that exploit producer and consumer data to earn large profits and impede the entry of smaller firms. Realizing the potential of digital technologies to transform the food system will require carefully crafted public policies and investments. Public policy must focus on the enabling environment and complementary investments that steer and accelerate the digital transformation of the agri-food system. The creation and use of digital agricultural technologies are fundamentally private sector activities for digital developers and agricultural producers. But investments in digital agriculture may be clouded by market and policy failures in physical or digital markets, by the lack of public good providers, or by the limited knowledge of available technologies. In such cases, the entry point for public policy is to influence the incentives and decisions of private agents with the goal of maximizing society's efficiency gains and the equity and environmental sustainability impacts from adopting digital agriculture. In creating incentives to prompt behavior among private economic agents that maximizes societal benefits, the public sector must also take care to mitigate the potential risks, sometimes unknown, arising from digital agriculture. 3 foundational enablers can maximize the gains of digital agriculture: digital infrastructure, non-digital enablers, and governmental capacity to foster digital innovation. To increase the availability of digital infrastructure in rural and remote areas and enable good quality and predictable rural connectivity, the public sector needs to put in place enabling policies for telecommunications infrastructure. It also needs to undertake complementary non-digital investments in rural roads, electricity, and logistics to power digital devices and connect digital markets. And to improve the efficiency and monitoring of agricultural policies, ministries of agriculture need to digitize the activities of public agricultural bodies, invest in management information systems and modern data infrastructure, and build the digital skills of public sector workers to support change. No regrets policy actions are key to maximizing the benefits of quickly transforming the food system. To spur the system's transformation, the public and private sectors need to jointly form an innovation ecosystem for digital agriculture. The government's role is to provide supportive public policy interventions that deliver public goods and to create an enabling policy and regulatory environment that fosters open datasets, digital platforms, digital entrepreneurship, digital payment systems, and digital skills. Key areas of focus should be to accomplish the following: strengthen access to foundational data and promote data sharing. Strengthening access to foundational data would lower the cost of innovation and could be achieved by digitizing existing public agriculture records, developing digital farmer registries, and investing in global databases for core agricultural data on soil quality, weather conditions, market prices, and pest and disease surveillance. Promoting data portability and interoperability and adopting fair data principles in data management, which make data findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable, would ensure the wide use of data. Safeguard farmers' data privacy, security, and ownership. The legal and regulatory framework should address any risks associated with data use. Efforts to ensure appropriate data privacy should be based on 4 underlying principles. First, collecting data should be transparent. Individuals should know if someone is collecting their data. Second, individuals should know, and have a voice in, how their data are being used. Third, the models for data sharing should work for both the suppliers of the data, individuals, and the users of the data, enterprises. Data governance arrangements should build the confidence and trust of users of digital technologies, such as farmers and agribusinesses, and facilitate development of digital applications that can benefit them, such as improving access to finance. Fourth, digital technology providers should be accountable for how they use farmers' data. Review regulations that may constrain the adoption of technologies that enable precision agriculture. New technologies in some digital agriculture applications require a new legal framework in areas that may at first seem to be not very relevant for agriculture, such as the use of the so-called Internet of Things, unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, and global positioning systems to collect data for precision agriculture. Data collection raises issues of privacy and data ownership. It also creates the need to address safety and security concerns arising from the potential use of drones as weapons and the harm to bystanders from crashes. Getting the rules right could do much to promote the development of precision agriculture. Enable competition in digital markets. Given the tendency toward market concentration in digital markets, the policies for taxation, competition, and data sharing need to be adjusted. Policy and regulatory frameworks need to be adapted to provide for competitive markets in the digital era and broadened to consider consumer privacy, personal data protection, consumer choice, market structure, switching costs, and lock-in effects. Both antitrust, regulation and taxation policies remain as key instruments for sharing the economic gains from digital data and ensuring a more competitive environment. Additional approaches could be remunerating individuals who are sharing data with platforms through personal data markets or data trusts. Collective data ownership or digital data funds can be put in place as a basis for a new digital data commons. In some cases, to spur competition, governments can invest in their own digital transaction platforms, or they can provide seed financing for platforms. Support development of digital payment systems. Digital payment systems are essential for transactions in the virtual world. But they are successful only when both parties to a transaction have enough interest and trust to use this form of payment. Consumer protection frameworks, robust digital networks, and banking and telecom policies that support digital financial services are all important components of a functioning digital payment system. Support digital entrepreneurship ecosystems. Digital entrepreneurship is a key driver behind the increased supply of digital solutions in the agri-food system, but it depends on the quality of the surrounding ecosystems. Governments can support such ecosystems by adopting e-agriculture strategies and ag-tech startup policies, supporting regional and market aggregation of digital entrepreneurial initiatives, investing in mentoring and business advisory programs for enterprise development, and providing seed financing for startups, where feasible. In addition, regulatory sandboxes can provide entrepreneurs with a safe space to test new digital technologies that are not covered by existing regulatory frameworks, while ensuring that appropriate safeguards are in place. Invest in transformational research and development. Digital solutions in agriculture rely on a large body of research, often funded by the public sector. Redirecting state support to fund more research and development, R&D, would improve the enabling environment for digital entrepreneurship. In addition, the private and public sectors need to cooperate closely in R&D in agriculture, and public funding of research centers should be driven largely by the commercial applicability of the research. Complementary policies are needed to share the benefits equitably, particularly those for skill development. Maximizing the equity impacts from digital agriculture may not be fully internalized by private economic agents. In such instances, the role of the government is to ensure the equitable distribution of digital benefits. Governments can increase the access to and use of digital technologies by marginalized groups. Public policy entry points include investing in digital skills, developing relevant customized digital tools of appropriate design and in relevant languages targeted to disadvantaged groups, and reducing the cost of digital technology adoption through targeted subsidies, where applicable. Other policies can harness the digital revolution to generate improvements in environmental sustainability. To increase the environmental sustainability of the agri-food system through digital technologies, governments can incentivize use of digital technologies for environmental sustainability by agricultural producers, support increased capacity for environmental monitoring, and shift attitudes about the environmental impacts of the agri-food system. They should nudge producers and consumers in the direction of more environmentally sustainable choices. Possible actions include strengthening digital environmental monitoring, encouraging the use of digital technologies for environmental sustainability, and applying e-education and information dissemination to influence behavior. Other promising solutions include results-based policies, which reward producers directly for specific environmental outcomes and leave producers free to choose the best means to achieve them, given their circumstances. To identify the most appropriate and effective policies and entry points to spur digital innovation in the agri-food system, governments need clear objectives. In formulating policies for the digital development of the agricultural sector, governments need to prioritize interventions in areas where the gaps are largest, while also anticipating and addressing risks and second-order effects of the interventions. The approach needs to be comprehensive. For example, the ability of digital technologies to reduce transaction costs in the agri-food system can increase market efficiency and competition. But if digital technologies reduce some frictions but not others, they can distort market outcomes, widening the digital divide. Finally, the digital development of the agri-food system is a means to the societal gains of efficiency, equity, and environmental sustainability, not a goal. The report's digital agriculture profiling tool introduces an assessment framework to evaluate the state of a country's agricultural and digital development and identify public policy entry points to maximize the efficiency, equity, and environmental sustainability of digital transformations in agriculture. The coronavirus pandemic hit most countries in early 2020, at a time when the food system was already overdue for a major disruptive change. By accelerating the move to digital technologies, physical lockdown measures could provide an unexpected opportunity to build the system back better. Indeed, ensuring that the policy environment is conducive to digital solutions for agriculture will help shift the global agri-food system toward more efficiency, equity, and environmental sustainability, and contribute to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals to the fullest. Plan of the report. Figure S.2 presents the report's organization. The report first establishes an overview of digital technologies in the agri-food system, as well as a framework for analyzing their ability to improve efficiency, equity, and environmental sustainability. The report then dives deeper into analysis, examining how digital technologies can lower barriers to on-farm efficiency and reduce transaction costs, exploring how digital technologies can transform rural finance, and investigating how digital technologies can address policy-related transaction costs. Finally, the report addresses policy implications for data use in agriculture and identifies public policy entry points for unleashing the power of digital technologies in agriculture. Figure S.2. The structure of the report. Framework. Chapter 1 highlights the potential of digital technologies to transform the agri-food system. Chapter 2 sets out a framework for analyzing the pathways for digital technologies to enhance efficiency, equity, and environmental sustainability, EEE, in the agri-food system. Analysis. Chapter 3 examines how digital technologies can lower barriers to on-farm technical efficiency and reduce transaction costs to improve farmers' access to input and output markets. Chapter 4 explores how mobile money, digital credit scoring, and remote sensing can lower transaction costs to improve farmers' access to credit, insurance, and savings. Chapter 5 analyzes how digital technologies can redefine the scope of agricultural policies in agriculture and improve the EEE in the food system by addressing policy-related transaction costs. Policy. Chapter 6 discusses the benefits and challenges of data use in agriculture. Chapter 7 identifies public policy entry points for unleashing the power of digital technologies in agriculture.